County lines and the early years, the new big topic that Ofsted are talking about during inspections. And here is everything you need to know. But first, welcome to the channel. Welcome to the channel Open Nursery with myself, Kurt Liania, where I teach you to open, run and grow your own childcare business. If this is your first time here, then make sure you subscribe. I post regular videos all around the topic of childcare. I have the expertise and do all the research so that you can just come to one place to learn and hopefully enjoy. From how to pass your Ofsted inspection to how to open a nursery. There's lots here on this channel for you to watch and enjoy. But today we're going over county lines and how it affects the early years and your safeguarding practices. Quite a few people have mentioned to me that it's come up in their recent inspections, whether that be registration inspections or their regular Ofsted inspections, and that there's not much guidance around online in relation to early years. So I thought I'd support you by covering this topic for you. So what is county lines? County lines is used in reference to a form of criminal activity in which drug dealers in major cities establish networks for the supply and sale of drugs to towns and rural areas, using other people, usually vulnerable people like children, to carry, store and sell the drugs. This form of criminal exploitation has a devastating impact on young children, their families and their communities. Children as young as 7 years old are groomed and coerced into trafficking drugs by criminal gangs around the country. That's why it's so important for all educators to understand county lines and the impact it can have on young people and their families. Although the young people that we care for in early years may not be directly involved in county lines, there may be family members, siblings, family friends or neighbours that are involved. Therefore, it is essential that adults working in early years have a strong understanding of county lines and the risks involved in order to safeguard children in their setting. As I mentioned, I am seeing county lines and the impact it can have on your setting discussed more and more in Ofsted inspections when discussing your safeguarding. As well as getting involved with drugs, children and young people may be criminally exploited in multiple other ways. Other forms of criminal exploitation can include child sexual exploitation, trafficking, gang and knife crime. County lines gangs are highly organised criminal networks that use sophisticated, frequently involving techniques to groom young children and evade capture by the police. Perpetrators use children and young people to maximise their profits and distance themselves from the criminal act of physically dealing drugs. They make young people and children do the majority of the work and take a majority of the risk. Having an awareness of the certain risk factors that can increase a child, young person or an adult being exploited can help to ensure that the appropriate safeguards are put in place. For example, certain areas of the country have a greater occurrence of child criminal or sexual exploitation. This would naturally increase the risk to the children that live in that area. Certain schools may also have a higher rate of exclusion, and being absent from school increases the risk of a child being exploited and groomed. As a result, it is crucial that children, young people and adults are in an environment that prioritises the safeguarding. The best thing that we can do to support our children in early years is to prevent them getting involved in county lines. This is our main role as early years educators and nursery practitioners. In early years, we can safeguard those at risk of exploitation and grooming by teaching them about healthy relationships. This can help potential victims learn the difference between a genuine relationship or friendship from someone who is trying to manipulate them. Engaging with parents is also important. Engaging with parents can help protect children and young people who are at risk of criminal exploitation. Parents and carers need support to manage any risk to their child. It's important for us to understand what barriers might be in place for parents and carers. This might include fears around having their children taken away from them, their child being excluded from school, criminalising their child, as well as potential threats from the actual county lines gangs. As children do start to get older, we can start to have actual discussions with them around county lines, discussing how they might be targeted, the risks involved, and the support that is there for them. Despite it not directly involving children in our care in early years and in nurseries, as early years educators, it is still important for us to know what signs to look out for that may indicate someone is being exploited. County lines usually affect children aged 14 to 17, but children as young as 7 years old have been targeted. Some signs to look out for include regularly missing from home and school, often being found some distance away from home, having lots of trains or bus tickets, having unexplained injuries, owning several phones and receiving lots of calls and texts, being unable to explain extra money or expensive new items, having friendships with older people or gang associations, displaying negative changes in moods or behaviour, leaving the home or care setting without an explanation, parental concerns, being found in possession of drugs and or weapons, a decline in school performance, isolation from peers or a change in social network activity, self-harm, being secretive, especially if it's out of character for them, being fearful, especially of going outside the house, starting to use alcohol or drugs, and being involved in low-level criminal offences. This list is not exhaustive and it can be difficult to sometimes identify if someone is at risk. If you do have any concerns about a child or family, you should raise and report them as soon as possible. Some of you may be in areas that are more likely to be affected by county lines, or you may have families or children that are more vulnerable to being drawn into it. So take this into consideration too. Responding to county lines early is very important. Early intervention and prevention are highly important in county lines as it can stop harm before it occurs. It involves recognising and reducing the risk factors involved in a person's life whilst working to implement and develop positive protective elements. In early years, safeguarding is everyone's responsibility, so it's important that you know how to respond appropriately to disclosures and concerns. A disclosure refers to when a person tells someone of the harm that they or someone else is experiencing. A concern refers to something that is witnessed or an observation of certain signs and indicators of harm. If you witness some of the signs of someone being exploited mentioned previously, then this would be a concern. All disclosures and concerns need to be reported. You should never keep it to yourself. If someone discloses something to you, remember to listen, remain calm, reassure the individual, and inform them that you will have to pass this information on. You should always make a written statement of what was said during the disclosure or what was witnessed as soon as possible. This is to ensure its accuracy. Who you report the disclosure or concern to will vary depending on your setting. If you're in a setting that has a designated safeguarding lead or a DSL, you should inform them. If you're unaware whether your setting does, you should inform your manager or your supervisor. You can also report concerns direct to your local authority, usually through the local Safeguarding Children's Board. Though, as with all safeguarding concerns, if you feel a child is at immediate risk, you should always contact the police directly. Remember, you are never alone, and you should never keep any safeguarding issues or concerns to yourself. Even if your concerns do not turn out to be any county lines involvement, the individual may still be being exploited in other ways. Though if you want any more support around the topic of safeguarding, then check out the playlist that's on the screen now. It involves information around the prevent duty, as well as the different types of abuse. And if there's any other topic that you want me to cover around the topic of childcare, then let me know in the comment section below. I look forward to supporting you. God bless.